Good evening all, welcome to another TRSB Sports podcast. Myself, Shane B. Pleasure to have on this evening Jade Taylor, super featherweight pro boxer with a 5-0 record. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. And you?
Not too bad, thanks. What have you been up to? Anything stressful today?
Not really, just the usual, training in the morning, working, and now being a mother and sorting all the children out.
That's it. But where are they sort of like towards bed? Have they been washed up, fed and ready for bed, or just watching the TV ready to go to bed?
Yeah, so they're just winding down now, ready for bed and school tomorrow.
Cool. So what I normally do, and you'll probably appreciate being like a sports person and everything, like I always say to like the people that I interview, it's probably good just to have a little warm up before you get into anything, just to sort of like loosen you up sort of thing. So I just start off with a couple of easy questions for starters. So for breakfast, would it be Rice Krispies or cornflakes?
Oh, cornflakes.
Cornflakes. On toast, Marmite or jam? You can have any jam you like. Jam, okay.
Yeah, jam.
You're not a Marmite lover?
No.
Nah. And then finally, a crunchy or toffee crisp?
Oh, probably toffee.
Toffee crisp, okay. I'll let you have that one. I think I might have gone for a crunchy, but I'll let you have toffee crisp. So,
yeah.
What I wanted to have a chat with you before we discuss yourself, and I think there was like obviously a massive ladies, women's professional fight recently with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. What was your views on that?
It was a really good fight. They put on a good performance. It was close, to be fair. I think if it was any longer rounds, I think Amanda Serrano could have got Katie out there, but she did well, stuck in there and got the win in the end. So yeah, it was a really good fight.
Yes, for women's boxing in general, it was absolutely massive, wasn't it? It's like the two of them are headlining at Madison Square Gardens. I thought in the fight itself, I thought it was a close fight as well. I thought Katie did have the fight. I was just amazed by come the end, the last round, how it was just like hell for leather, and how Katie almost went down on one knee, and how she managed to stay up and carry on throwing punches. I just thought it was amazing. But like for women's boxing in general, it must have put things on the map. So do you think those kind of events are beginning to make the general perception of women's boxing is sort of like it's big now? It's not sort of like just left to little undercards?
Yeah, definitely. I think now more than ever, there's more females being put on the cards. Sometimes there's not just the one female, there's a couple. So I think that's like I say, getting busier and more promotions are putting more females on. And like you say, for my last fight, we were headlining it as well. So like you said, more of them are getting like to be headlining the shows themselves, which is like amazing in itself.
Yeah, we've spoken for like lots of like female boxers that have been on the show recently, and I think the general feeling is amongst all of them is that like it's beginning to go in the right way. It's beginning to get recognised, and like you say, it's not anymore. It's not just an undercard. That Serrano and Katie Taylor fight, that was just as good a fight as any male fight this year so far.
That's it. Yeah.
And it could go up there for maybe like the fight of the year come the end of the year. If there's any other better fights than that at the minute, I haven't seen one, to be honest.
That's it. I think as well, like you say, with the females, a lot of people are saying a lot of the female fighters are doing really well, and like you say, some of them are better than the male fighters. Like going the distance and just putting on a good performance in general, which is great.
Do you think it's like where it's 2-minute rounds at the minute, and obviously there's sort of like lots of sort of queries as if like shall we make it to 3-minute rounds? With the 2-minute rounds, you find it's like a more explosive kind of fight because you've got this, you're cramming it into the 2 minutes rather than having to go for the 3 minutes?
Yeah, I think so. I think with it only being 2 minutes, you're having to kind of think fast, get your shots out quicker before the round is up. Whereas like the 3 minutes, you've got a little bit more time to kind of think, pick your shots a little bit more, and not really like rush your work as much.
Okay, so what I wanted to talk to you about, obviously I know about your past and your boxing. Obviously you're in the boxing game at the minute, but obviously I think early doors, maybe when you was quite young, I think it was kickboxing or Thai boxing more so than boxing. Was that right?
Yeah, so I started Thai boxing, I think I was about 8 or 9. So I was doing that.
So when you started, because we recently had Tycee Gallagher on the show, and she's like, I think she's 23 or something, but she started fighting when she was 11, and she was explaining like it was really hard to sort of like find other girl fighters at that stage. It was like quite a rarity to see a girl boxer, obviously at that age. With the Thai boxing, was it the same, or is it, because I thought I've seen things like karate and kickboxing, and I've seen there was lots of young sort of girls in those sports. Was it different in the Thai boxing, or was it similar for you? Was you sort of like a standout girl amongst all the lads, or was it slightly different?
Yeah, so the Thai boxing gym that I was at, there were quite, I think there was a few like females and that we all competed together as well as the lads. But when it comes to the actual fighting and going competing in competitions, a lot of us did have to fight males and like the boys and things like that because there weren't that many females to get you fights. So a lot of us females did end up having to fight males when we were younger.
And was that I guess that was primarily sparring, obviously, at your gym or wherever you was Thai boxing at the time.
Yeah, that, and then just like the interclubs as well, like all around the interclubs when we used to travel about and doing them, a lot of them we had to get matched up with males just to get a fight.
Well, and would have that been like a tournament as such?
In terms of like the actual tournaments and the championships, it was you had to stick to like male and female.
Yeah.
But like the little interclubs between different like clubs locally, then yeah, we fought male and female. There wasn't really, it just depends on the weight.
Right. And did that the fact that you was fighting the males, and again when I spoke to Tycee, she said the fact that fighting the males, it's sort of like it did help her when it comes to sort of like taking on the girls and stuff. Did you find that? Did it motivate you a little bit more if you was fighting, for instance, one of the lads? Did it motivate you?
Yeah, probably a little bit more because, like you say, when the males are coming in, they've always got to be like that a little bit more dominant anyway. So when you're getting wins like across over males, it made you like feel a little bit better.
Brilliant. And so that was obviously that was about 8 you started that. So you went on through, and did you pick some titles up as a Thai boxing? Did you become British title holder or anything?
Yeah, so I got 3 times British champion, English champion. I won the Golden Gloves championships when I was younger, and then I ended up representing Great Britain, flying over to Thailand as well, and represented Great Britain over in the Thailand World Championships as well.
Okay, so when you was obviously winning some of these titles, what age was you at that point where you was winning these British titles?
I think my first title, I was 13 when I won my first one, and then between the ages of 13 and 16, when obviously I collected the rest of them, I went off, had my first child when I was 17, and then come back in 2015, and that's when I flew over to Thailand. So my youngest would have just turned 1, and then I flew over to Thailand to represent Great Britain over there.
So that's your boy, your youngest one, was that Lorenzo?
He's my eldest. He's just turned 10. Yeah,
okay.
And then Azari is 8.
So when you went to fight in Thailand, represent GB, what was that like? It must have been amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was so good. Went over to Bangkok, and then it was like really good. There was a lot of obviously countries over there competing, and just the like atmosphere over there. Obviously, Thai boxing is obviously the main thing in it over there. So just seeing a lot of the youngsters coming up and fighting and competing, and it's just well, no matter where you go around Bangkok, you just see Thai boxing everywhere.
Yeah, so it's got to be amazing. Obviously, you're going to the home of Thai boxing, and
Yeah.
How did that actually pan out? That championships, obviously, it was your first one. How did it pan out for you?
I think I had a few fights under my belt, and then I think the USA, because when I went over there, I got put in a category. I think it was 60 kilos.
Okay.
So I thought, yeah, that's fine. I was hovering around like 60, 61 anyway. And then I got there, and 2 days in, I dropped down to 56 because of the heat.
Right.
So I'd already dropped down and you can't change your categories when you're there. You're just stuck in the one that you're in. So
You're
the
going in
girls that I was
lighter.
fighting were really big, yeah.
Oh, okay. So after all of that, you come back from obviously your championships there, and at some point then you switched obviously from the Thai boxing and got involved in boxing. Was it?
Yeah.
How did that start?
So when I come back from Thailand, I thought to myself, that's kind of as far as I can go in terms of the Thai boxing. There's not really much further, and there's not really much money and income coming from that side of things. So that's when I looked to get into more unlicensed boxing, just to get some. I was just using it as sparring, really, just going around on shows, sparring, travel around the whole of UK, Scotland, Wales, just traveling around every weekend, really. Just getting, obviously, to me, it was sparring, because a lot of the times you'd go on shows and they'd be like, you've just kind of got to take it easy, because obviously they knew certain backgrounds. So it was just kind of getting around, but you was getting paid for it, so I was making an income doing it.
So how did you get into that? How does that sort of like unlicensed boxing differ to sort of like amateur boxers? Obviously, a lot of people obviously from in the boxing, they might have a history of going through like the amateurs, the ABAs and so on. I guess you kind of missed that where you've obviously done the Thai boxing side of things, or the Thai boxing. And so going into the unlicensed boxing, how did that start? How did you sort of get into that? Was you in the gym and you just like, I want to get into this? How did people get into that if they wanted to?
Yeah, so I stayed in the gym all the time anyway, and then there was a group of people in there that would they were doing it. So the girl that was kind of getting the fights in, she was like, well, if you ever want any fights, just let me know. So I just contacted her and I was like, if there's any fights around my weight, just let me know and obviously I'll come down. So that's how we got into it. And then the children's dad, he did it as well. So I just kind of went down with him on quite a few of the shows. And then just from there, we end up fighting all the time, really.
So that was, that was then your, I suppose you're switching to boxing. So obviously going through the unlicensed boxing, there's come a point that we've decided, right, I think maybe I can have a go at this professionally. So where did that come about? Was you still at the same gym? You had a trainer, or you had to look for someone?
Yeah, so I went after I did my unlicensed boxing. I went to Oliver Harrison's gym and I was training there. So I actually turned to go into amateur with Oliver. And with that, it was just really hard to get fights. So I went from fighting pretty much every weekend on a license to then not really fighting, and girls were pulling out of like the competitions. I think I had one amateur fight. I flew on my own over to Jersey and fought over there, and then come back, and I was like, I can't do this because everyone was pulling out all the time. So I think that's when I thought, I might as well just give the professional rankings a go and see how far I go with that.
So with the amateurs then, how many fights did you actually get to have in the amateurs?
Just one.
Just the one to Jersey?
Yeah.
Wow. But that's it. So like I say, it's obviously do you feel that the lack of amateur boxing experience has sort of like gone against you, or do you feel like with the experience in the Thai boxing, that sort of has put you in good stead?
Yeah, I think having like the mixed martial arts background has helped quite a lot. So in terms of, like I say, my style's different to everybody else's. I can fight on the back foot, I can fight on the front foot, and a lot of it is down to the Thai boxing. Whereas like now it's kind of switching over obviously was hard because it's two different complete styles. So that transition was a little bit, obviously took a bit of time to get used to it. But now, like, yeah, I find it okay in terms of like using my Thai boxing in my boxing in certain like areas.
So then you obviously turned pro. Your first pro fight, that was in 2018?
Yeah.
So with that one, how was that then? Obviously it's a big night, the first time turning pro, your first fight. How did you cope with that? How was it feeling? How was the nerves and everything?
Really good. I think because I've fought so many times, I'm able to control my nerves quite well. So it was more just like enjoying it and just being able to get back out fighting. And it was in Wythenshawe as well, so it was local to me. I had quite a good crowd come down, and in the end there was a little bit of a mess on the show, so in the end they ended up changing my fight. I think I was supposed to be on like 4th and end up being main event, so they changed us, so we ended up going on last as well. So it was a good night, a good atmosphere, and it was good just to say get in and get the first one out of the way.
So then you had another 2 fights, and then there was like a bit of a stop, wasn't there? So you had 2 fights, and I think the last one, before the ones you had now, you sort of got to 2019, had 3 fights, 3 wins, and then everything just come to a halt for a little bit. Was that, I think, probably COVID might have had anything to do with that, was it?
Yeah, I think that was in time with the COVID, and that's the time I ended up switching gyms as well. So the gym that I was at just really wasn't getting the fights. So it was all like obviously on his shows, and I just wanted to kind of get out, get active, because like I say, there's not many females. There's not like to kind of get up to a high standard. You've just got to be out there and get your name out there. So obviously I just wasn't really getting the fights in general, and then obviously COVID hit as well. So that was kind of my time to reflect on what I wanted and how far I wanted to go. So that's when I ended up moving over to Robert Rimmer's and training down there, and then just kind of fit in and love the atmosphere there. So that's when I ended up moving over.
Okay, so that COVID break, obviously it sort of like affected loads of people. Obviously some people can get into the gyms and everything. So, but for yourself, like you said, then you just took it as a time just to reflect on what was going on, where you wanted to be, and what your ambitions and drive was again, I suppose.
Yeah, so I carried on training. I was training at home a lot, and then I think the second or third lockdown, the professional gyms could stay open anyway, so I was still able to get my training in, which was good. So I didn't have completely a year or 2 out of it, so I was just ticking over. So, but yeah, it was mainly like say, just sat at home and reflecting. So I've already lost a year or 2 out of the game, so I kind of need to pick it back up and just get out there as often as I can, really.
So obviously we've got the COVID out of the way. You got ready to come back into the boxing. You've obviously gone to the new gym, got the new trainer, and then your 4th fight, you've come back. Was it Karina Kopinska?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you fought her, and obviously, again, like there was obviously the break. You've got into that fight. How did you feel you was in that fight? Did you feel that you performed as well as you could have, or do you think there was that sort of like that bit of ring rust for not being in the ring for X amount of years?
Yeah, I could feel the ring rust a little bit. In terms of like getting in, I was fit and strong, and because obviously I'd gotten like a new nutritionist on board, so I was doing all the nutrition on my own. I was just making weight on my own. Whereas when I went to Rob's, I got Pete involved, so he sorted all my nutrition out. So for that fight, I felt really good. But like I say, when you're getting in there, it was just getting rid of like the ring rust, stuff like that. So I think once after that one, and I was like, right, yeah, I'm good to go now. So, and then we jumped up rounds.
Yeah, so that one out the way, then you got your timing back, and then you was fighting Lindsay Bushniewski, if I said that right. But that was for like that was for a central area title, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
And that one you did go up to 10 rounds.
Yeah.
So again, obviously you've been fighting the lesser rounds, but I guess when you're training in the gym. I guess you probably train for 3-minute rounds, maybe you train to go like 10 rounds. Is that the case? So was it like a big difference, or you ready for it?
Yeah, we're always like, because I'm always training with the lads and they're always doing a lot of rounds. So we're always training 10, maybe more rounds. And I'm always doing 3-minute rounds with them. So it was more when I was in camp for that, it was tapering it down, getting used to the 2-minute rounds a little bit more, because doing 3-minute rounds and then fighting twos, like you say, like getting your time in and trying to like work things out, it was a little bit different. So we tapered it down so I could get used to the 2-minute rounds. So when we come to the fight night, obviously I was able to kind of control it and know when to put my foot down or when not to. So, but yeah, like when I got finished 10 rounds, I felt fine. I was already fit. So yeah, it was good to get all the rounds in. So now I know in my head that I can do the 10 rounds, and I've been there, I've done that. So it's a little bit more less stress off my shoulders.
Yeah, I watched the fight, and it was really good. It was a good quality fight, and it looked like you enjoyed it. Like to me, you won the fight. As how I
Yeah,
see it, you looked like controlled the fight. It looked like you knew you had a game plan, and it looked like the game plan went to plan.
yeah,
Obviously, I think Lindsay, I think she's got different ideas of sort of how the fight went. But I guess if you ever lose a fight and you think it's close, you're probably always going to be thinking, well, I think it went my way.
yeah.
She's obviously, is there a rematch for this one?
There is, yeah.
Yeah, because I think I heard something about her saying that, oh, well, maybe she'll put you to sleep next time.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Or lay you out, or whatever the terminology is. Obviously, she didn't get to do it that time around.
That's it.
Yeah, do you think she can bring anything to the table this time that gives you any inclination to think, oh, yeah, maybe she might?
Not really, no. Like it's one of them. That's what you come to do in the first round. If you can't come and do it in the first time, you're not going to come around and do it again, because I'm going to expect it. And you didn't really land a decent shot. There was like one or two decent shots throughout the whole fight you actually caught me with. So the amount I made a miss in general in the first fight, she's just going to end up making herself look stupid in the second fight, trying to look and put me to sleep.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything she can actually add to her game? Because, like I say, if she's coming with a game plan, obviously that didn't work. And I guess what you're saying is, like, if she wants to switch it up and she's going to just go for the heavy shot, the likelihood is she'll miss, you'll look good, and it'll be another win for you.
Yeah.
It's one of those, I suppose. You comfortable win for you this time round?
Yeah, it doesn't like you say, it's one of them. Like a fight's fight can go either way, really. It only takes one shot, but yeah, I don't think she's going to bring anything different. She'll come out swinging like on the first fight anyway. And to be fair, I stood there for 2 rounds, injured my hand after the second round, so that's why I went more on my back foot, and then I was just picking her off. So whether I come forward or whether I fight again on my back foot, like I think it's kind of like a good win anyway.
But she had quite a good amateur pedigree, didn't she? And do you think sometimes that can be slightly even more annoying? Like, for instance, someone like you've obviously come from kickboxing, you've had one amateur fight, and then you're able to perform like this. Do you think that maybe hurts a little bit more when someone loses?
It could be. I think it's one of them. Like you say, she's got more of a boxing, should we say, background than I have. So obviously styles make fights. So, but I know her trainer Humphrey. I know obviously got a Thai boxing background as well. So we used to fight on obviously his and Oliver's shows when I was younger growing up, and the Thai boxing side of things. So I know they've got a Thai boxing background, but like you say, I think just after that fight, she's just turned a bit sour anyway. But it is what it is. Like no matter what, you're gonna lose some, you're gonna win some, and I think for females anyway, it doesn't matter whether you have a loss on your record, because there's not that many of us anyway. You're still gonna go far. So, but yeah, I think I definitely rattled a cage anyway.
I think also what you just touched on there was like whether you have a lose on your record in the female, it's not the be all and end all, but
Yeah.
I'm guessing at the minute females you can be like go 7-0, 8-0, but with female fighting at the minute, you can be on a record of 8-1 or 9 wins, and you could be fighting for a title. It's sort of like that's the way things are in female fighting at the minute. What's your sort of ambitions? Obviously, you got to deal with Lindsay, get her out of the way again, and then what's your goals? Where do you want to be fighting in sort of like next 18 months? What do you want to do?
So yeah, so with the next fight, get that over and done with. Keep obviously hold of the belt, and then looking then for more Commonwealth, European titles. Just start collecting the titles really. Like you say, it's all good and well getting experience, but with the females, it's not really, that's not the case. You put in fights, and to progress, you're gonna have to fight decent fighters that have had quite a lot of fights. So yeah, so I think after this one, I'm gonna sit down with the team and hopefully then start looking, like I said, with like the Commonwealth and European, and then just kind of see where we are at with that.
So are there any names sort of like you got in mind? Are there any particular fighters that you would like to go out and sort of go toe to toe with? Are there any people that you'd like to, if your trainer could go and sort you someone out, who would you like to step in the ring with once you've got your central fight out of the way?
I'm not really too bothered who I fight, to be fair. Like you say, whoever's put in front of me, obviously I'll fight them. But in terms of because I've just moved down to super feather, I'm not really, other than Michaela Mayer and obviously that Alicia, I'm not really aware of any other ones, obviously like locally or things like that. So, and I think with the females as well, you have to fluctuate between weights to get fights.
Right.
So I'll probably end up obviously have a few more fights at super feather, and then if there's nothing then, or we get stuck, then like you say, I'm gonna have to try, and don't know whether I can get down to just featherweight or go back up to lightweight just to get the fights and the experience under a belt, because I don't want to rush through the game and get to world title level. And like you say, there's a big jump from being central area titles and then fighting for world titles, and I know that. I know obviously I've still got a lot to learn, and I'm just learning on the job as I'm going. So, but yeah, just some more fights to get active, really.
If you had to switch weight, where would you rather go, up or down? If you had to, given the choice, if you had to go up or down, what would you prefer to go and weight?
I'd probably say up, so then I don't have to diet so much. But but to be fair, I shot myself making super feather. So I don't think I've been super feather since before having the children. So to get down to that weight and be comfortable at it, like it didn't kill me to get down there. And a lot of people said I probably am a natural featherweight, but like I said, I think because I've not been that light, it's then getting down to it and knowing that I can get down to it comfortably to then be like, okay, I know which weight that I can be at. So again, I think as well with females as well, like monthlies can like change your weights all the time. So it's just kind of being on top of form and picking a weight that's kind of suitable for me.
And you're all right with sort of like weights. You're quite sort of like making weights for your fights, and you don't have many difficulties. You're quite regimented in what you do, training wise, nutrition wise.
Yeah, so I'm always like taking over if I've not got a day, and then as soon as I've got a day, obviously I'm in camp and I stick to the routine. It's a hard graft trying to juggle working, training sometimes twice a day and the children. But yeah, when it comes to making weight, like I do really well making weight, so that's not the main priority.
Yeah, I was going to say it's got to be like again, I was speaking to like Tycee Gallagher, and she was like, she's a mum, and she just was saying like, I was saying, well, how do you manage to do it? But basically they're saying like, you've got your routine, you have to do it. It's just part of the life. I just find it really sort of like amazing that with all boxers, the boxers that are sort of like small halls and are sort of like progressing up the ranks, how so many of you have to sort of go work, maybe one job, two jobs, normal life, and do training. So like it's like massive props to like all of you guys that put the effort in to do that. So we're saying then within 18 months you'd like to be, what would you like to be 18 months from now? What title would you like to have?
I'd like to have either Commonwealth or European title, and then at least from there then I can start looking at like say all the different kind of like world titles and just see who, like what names we bump into around there, whether like I said we end up moving down a weight, up a weight, and just see where we end up. But yeah, definitely the Commonwealth and European titles are the next on the agenda after this one.
Yeah, I'm guessing with either one of those titles, it will then put you in the mix, wouldn't it, for a sort of a big title fight of some description. So it's just about going through the motions and picking up those titles to get where you really want to go to.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So what I'm going to do then is obviously, again, just like the beginning, you've got to warm up. You've got to have a little warm down as well, because it's what we do. It's what we do. So would you rather have chocolate profiteroles or a tiramisu?
Oh, I don't like either.
Oh no. So what would you like then? What's your favourite dessert?
If I had to pick one, I'd probably say the pita rolls, I think. But yeah.
What's your favourite dessert then? Well, I've got to put it out because I'll put it out for one of my questions at a later date. So what's your favourite dessert?
Oh, I'd probably say a cheesecake.
Cheesecake. Any particular flavour?
Either vanilla or like a raspberry one.
Oh, I don't know about that. Lime one for me, a nice zesty lime one. Papa John's pizza or Pizza Express?
Papa John's pizza.
And then finally, this is like a trademark question, and I call it the Connor Walker question because he just surprised me, and it still surprises me when he gave me the answer. But what would it be, jam donut or custard donut?
Jam donut.
Yeah, easy.
Don't like the custard ones.
No, definitely not. But when I was speaking to him, he was like, you put me on the spot now. I don't know where we should be going with this. And I was like, there's only one place to go. It's jam, isn't it?
No, yeah.
But before we wrap it up, anyone that you'd like to finally give a shout out to, like friends, family, sponsors, the boys, the girls?
Yeah, I'd just like to say like massive thanks to my team down at Robert Rimmer's gym, Bobby and Rob, everything that they do for me. My old Thai boxing training that still helps me, Kev. All my sponsors, like Helen does my massage, I've got Bangs Wear, Unorthodox, Trinity's Maintenance, and then obviously P that helps with mum and nutrition. So yeah, without everyone on board doing their little bit, you like I say, you wouldn't really be where I am now.
Brilliant. So obviously the next fight will be the Lindsay fight again. We'll call it the Lindsay fight. And when that's due, where will people be able to get their tickets from? So I can put like a description on so they know where to follow. Is it you on Instagram or where do they follow to get tickets?
Yeah, they can either contact me directly through my phone number or on Instagram. You can grab your tickets from there as well for myself.
Perfect. Well, do you know what? It was really lovely talking to you this evening. Can't wait for you to have the second fight again with Lindsay, sort that one out. And what we'll do is we'll get you on again at some point, hopefully before you get your Commonwealth title. And hopefully we'll talk to you like when you've got the big title. But pleasure speaking to you. You have a nice evening and look after yourself, okay?
Oh, thank you. You too.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.